and get into the really for real live. This is obviously a pre-recorded video where I can tell you a couple things and then we can get started. So honestly, what I'm doing is buying myself time to turn the camera on and make sure that everything sounds good. But while we do that, while we wait for myself, let's go ahead and comment below. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Maybe let's start with your name and where you're watching from. And then also I'd love to hear about maybe the latest project you're working on or your favorite software. So if you can post a link below, go ahead and post a link to your portfolio. We'd love to check it out and see what you're up to. And maybe even let us know what your favorite software is, or maybe your favorite subject. Do you like web design or print design or making t-shirts or logos or branding? I don't know. Go ahead and comment below and let us know. We'd love to check it out. And then also, if you'd love to see what I'm up to, you can check out my work at derrickmitchell.com. You can see some YouTube videos at youtube.com/derrickmitchell. And then also live streaming at behance.net/Mitchell's Garage. So you can check me out there. And then did I say Instagram? I don't know if I said Instagram yet or not. Instagram.com/dmitchelldesign. So hopefully there's links and buttons and stuff here, right there. Anyway, all right, guys, we're about to dive into some really cool stuff. Feel free to comment in the thread, and I'd love to, again, see what you're up to, and I'll try and answer your questions as we get going, but let's go ahead and dive in. Today's video is sponsored by the Graphic Design Bootcamp. If you're looking at becoming a graphic designer and you want to learn more about Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign, creating real-world projects that clients would actually pay you for things like logos, business cards, letterhead, and much more, check out the link below for more information and a deep discount to get started today.
Finally respect myself. I shook off all the bad vibes, cut me loose from the pettiness they turned on me, but now I am perfectly free to be me. This is who I am, this is who I am now. No matter what they're saying, this is who I am, this is who I am now.
Today's video is sponsored by the Graphic Design Bootcamp. If you're looking at becoming a graphic designer and you want to learn more about Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign, creating real-world projects that clients would actually pay you for things like logos, business cards, letterhead, and much more, check out the link below for more information and a deep discount to get started today.
Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it, see how. Rewind, when we rewind, feels so nice. We time, you I know how to make me feel right. I can't help had this sweet talk. I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm gliding through all the
What's up, everybody? Welcome to today's live broadcast. I'm super pumped to be here again with my good friend, Mr. Paul Gowan. Let's bring him in. Paul, dude, so good to have you.
Hey!
Hey! We're doing the things.
We're doing the thing. I was already checking out. We got Nick Foster over on Behance. I was
Awesome.
looking at his portfolio.
Awesome.
It's amazing.
What's up,
It's
Nick?
amazing. Yeah,
Thanks for
we've already got
joining.
him tuning in. Yeah. So excited. We're doing this again. This is the second Monday that we've done this.
Yeah.
I think this is going to become a thing.
I think it's going to become a thing. It's going to be awesome. Also, let us know. I'm playing around with some new things because that's what I do. I can't just leave it alone. Let me know. Make sure just choked. Make sure the volume is good. Everybody's sounding good. I've got some music in the background. I'm about to pull it out, but I'm playing Mr. DJ today. I might make a career change.
You're doing some great tunes. You use Epidemic, right?
Yeah, so that way we don't get the strikes and
Right.
have our content pulled down. So
I love their music.
Super pumped to be here. Paul, thanks for joining. And we've got some really cool stuff today for you guys. Maybe we'll do some giveaways. I don't know. We'll see. It's only Monday. We got to pace ourselves. We're going to go broke if we keep giving stuff away. But it's fun. It's fun to do. Yeah, Nick, thanks for joining. And hopefully we've got a lot of people on YouTube and Behance and Facebook all over the place. We'd love to see your comments. I can see your comments in my feed, but only if you give Ecamm Live permission. So that's if you're in Facebook. So if you're in Facebook, make sure you click the link right above this video that says give Ecamm Live permission. So I don't just see you as Facebook user 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna open up my live stream on YouTube. So it's probably gonna double up the audio real quick, but I'll mute it. There it is. Boink.
There it goes.
All right.
There goes the thing. If you are sitting back watching this, drop a note. Let us know where you're tuning in from. The other day we had India, Germany, Prague.
There's a bunch.
Did we have?
India, Germany, Prague. We had. There's been.
Yeah.
Denmark. The States, of course. Of course.
Yeah, I'm coming at you from Tempe, Arizona, just outside of connected to Phoenix. And you're up in beautiful
Montana. It's been snowing till about 2 seconds ago. I was going to flip the camera so you could see, but it just stopped. Now it's just wet and gross. Oh, well. Yeah. So, Paul, we've got some exciting stuff to talk about today, continuing our conversations. And for those of you who don't know, maybe a brief background about why you're qualified to drop these knowledge bombs on us here and what we're going to talk about today.
It's not my good looks. I'll tell you that much. I don't have the standard t-shirt like you do. I was like, which dress shirt did I wear last? So that's like some of the things that like trip me up. My name is Paul Gowan. I'm the founder of the Take Command Project. I spent 15 years serving America as a United States Marine. And I bring in some of those leadership lessons and some of those planning lessons, along with the latest in personal development. And I help people with transformation. I'm a transformation and leadership consultant. I have clients around the world. Derrick and I met at one of these personal development conferences a few years ago. Back when I had more hair on my head. I don't know about you, but we have just kept in contact ever since. And then this year we've decided to like link up, help support each other, grow each other's brands. And we were looking at some of the plight of graphic design, some of the challenges, some of the imposter syndrome, some of like, how do we market? How do we structure our time? And so that's where with both of us on these calls with your students, we're able to provide a little bit more in depth to be in service to your students, because what y'all do is just absolutely amazing. I have got kind of good at Photoshop, and I don't want to get any gooder. I want to stick with my stuff, but I do want to help provide that support and I think that's going to be a little bit of what we're talking about today.
For sure. Yeah. And I think the reason why we're doing this, at least from my perspective, well, I mean, the obvious is Paul and I both like to serve. We both like to help, very much like to kind of pull back the curtain and just let you look at, how we do things, and we've gone through the struggles, so you don't have to, right? And I think with this specifically, this series of lives, I really wanted to be available for you guys to ask questions live as we do things. So Nick from Northern California, thanks for tuning in on Behance. We've got a few others joining in. I had some people text me, said they were bummed they couldn't join today live. They've got stuff going on. Totally get it. You can watch the replay. You can comment in the replay. We see those and we follow up. But most importantly, yes, I teach graphic design. Yes, I have graphic design tutorials. Yes, I will go live and show you me working as a graphic designer. But this is a little bit different. This is more like a personal development, success, business training for those of you who are designers or creatives working in the creative industry. How do you handle your day-to-day, the mental that comes into it, whether it's, working in isolation, just you and a computer screen, especially for those of you who might be like me, you're an extrovert and you get stuck and you're like, man, I just crave that human interaction. Paul and I are the same way, especially with COVID now more than ever, just trying to figure out ways to stay mentally healthy and even physically healthy. Are you sitting too much, right? Get out, get some exercise. But just all these things that we face as designers, as humans, whether you're a designer or you're, a photographer or any of the other creative endeavors or just an entrepreneur. So that's what we're working on today. We've got a specific topic that I'll let Paul introduce that we're going to focus on a little bit. If you have questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. But that's what we're up to today. So Paul, do you want to do an introduction on a little bit of what we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, we were looking through the comments. So if you're watching this on the replay, put a comment. If you're joining us live, don't be a lurker. Don't hang out in the shadows. Jump in there. Say hey. Say where you're tuning in from, because we read those comments. As we were going through there, we noticed a theme. And if this is you, just put it, that's me, down in the chat roll. This awareness of, is my work good enough? I'm not getting clients. Am I meant to be in this industry? I'm getting ready to quit my full-time job so I can go do this graphic design thing that I love so much, but I have no idea if people are going to actually purchase things from me. And how do I do this? And what do I do? And what if I believe that I'm an imposter? Oh my gosh, that's a lot, And if I could type into this chat roll, I'd be like, that's me too, at times. And then there are tools that I want to share with you today that you can walk through, just like if you were getting ready to set something up in Photoshop or Premiere. There are tools that once you know how to use them, where they're at, how to bring them to bear to a certain situation or relationship, then you can increase that confidence. And I want to quote one of my mentors and good friends. I went to college with him like 20 years ago. Yeah, a lot more hair back then, Derrick. Brendan Burchard, that's the event that you and I met at, was his, what was it? Experts Academy, I think.
Yeah, that would have been Experts Academy. We've gone to so many. When I think back about the amount of money you and I probably spent traveling, lodging, food, conference tickets, VIP tickets.
Yeah. All of
worth every penny though. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So this technique is, I'm borrowing this from Brendan. He calls it the competence confidence loop. If you want to increase your competence in any situation, well, that takes a little piece of confidence to get into the game, to put your work out there. And that's going to provide like the first, can you zoom out? Cause it's going to be a big gesture.
A big gesture. Okay.
Can you give me the one up? Okay, so we're going to do this, and that's the confidence. It takes a little bit of confidence, then you gain some competence, and then that competence feeds into confidence, and then you end up with this confidence-competence loop. And if there's any math nerds out there like me, that's the symbol for infinity as well. Okay, bring it back to two up now. I was not going to be able to tie that in.
No, that's right. Here. I know, right? You need lots of room.
Got to be big.
Big canvas. Big canvas. I was just going to say, let's define competence a little bit. I've got a lot of international students, and that to me, that's why you said the competence confidence loop, and I was like, I can't even say that, and I'm fairly fluent in English. Fast, right? Yeah, so let's kind of break that down a little bit.
Yeah, the competence aspect is, how well are you in your craft? So I am not a graphic designer. I can identify with some of the traits because I am a musician. So if I think about competency within graphic design, it's how well do you know how to do a drop shadow? This is why I'm not a graphic designer, because I think my competence goes through the roof when I do the drop shadow and the emboss and the inner shadow and the outer shadow and the glows. And like, I think that exponentially increases my competence. However, yeah, you're like groaning. Is it like a teeth sucking moment for you? You're
Yeah,
like,
right. All my students are just going, oh, that's like when, yeah.
That's why I'm not interested in increasing my competence as a graphic designer, because I found that one little menu button and I'm like, oh, yes.
That's like as a designer when you find the new trick or new tutorial and you use it on the next project, no matter what it is, like 100%.
It's happening no matter what.
Yeah, I'm going to make this fit.
So another word to think about for competence is proficiency, or your skill level. I like confidence, because it gives you that alliteration when you have two similar sounds at the beginning of the words. So that's why I like the confidence loop. You increase your competence by putting in the repetitions, the reps. Practice and repetition is how you're going to increase that competence. And you can design the most beautifulest, bestest, goodest thing ever and then not release it because you're scared. Because maybe you're worried about some of the trolls in the world. They're going to say, this looks like garbage. Paul, why did you think it was a good idea to put a drop shadow and an inner glow and an outer glow and a satin finish? Why did you think that was going to be a good design element? And I'm like, because I found it and I clicked all the buttons. I clicked all the little checkboxes. So if you're lacking that confidence, then you can never get feedback on your competence. You can never get that feedback from the market to improve. If you look at it as criticism in a way to shut you down, boy, you are going to have a real tough time getting started. If you take a look at this as feedback from your market, so that way you can increase your skills with a focus. Because Derrick, come on back up for the two up here.
Yeah.
Are there different flavors of, like, within Photoshop? You probably have some people that could make the panels for a comic, or you have people that touch up professional photographs, or you have, like, what are some of, like, the major categories? Like, this is just
I love that you use the word
audience.
flavor, because I use the word flavor all the time, kind of on purpose, even though it doesn't, I mean, we're not talking about, I don't know. I love the visualization of that. Also, I feel like you're kind of speaking to me a little bit. We had a phone call earlier this morning and I was talking about my lack of ability to publish as many courses as I'd like to be publishing. If you're like, courses, what are you talking about? Well, check this out. I have a fancy new button I get to push, Paul, that shows you my website and the vault. If you're interested in learning more about, what I'm actually doing, go check out derrickmitchell.com/vault and you'll see all of the courses I have. But, yes, I struggle with that so much, the putting things out there. And to go back to your question, as far as flavor, there's lots of things. Photoshop is a tool that I tell my students and my wife, if I ever got stuck on an island, I'm bringing Photoshop with me because, it's the one tool that literally does everything. You can plot data points in images and have it chart to graphs and spreadsheets. Like, it does things that you wouldn't even know. It can edit video. Most people probably don't know that, but it can. It's not very good at it, but it can edit video inside of Photoshop. And you can use it to export GIFs or GIFs, however you want to say it. Super cool stuff. You've got the photo compositors. You've got the photo editors. You've got the guys like me who are designing projects like brochures and business cards and letterhead and designing website. Like, there's literally just about anything you can think of, you can do with Photoshop. Where were we going with that, Paul? I don't know. Yeah, well, I start geeking out.
Well, and when I came up to film my courses in your studio, I love this thing. Like, and one of the shots, you'll be able to see my bookcase here. This is like the remnants of my books, because I'm on a mission to go sail around the world. So I've been downsizing my physical books and increasing my digital books and audibles. But I was like creeping on your bookshelf, and I found, like, on the bottom shelf, it was kind of worn, and I could see all of the tabs and the stickies. And I was like, I want this book, because I could tell it was a reference guide. And this was back, was that like an '07 version of Photoshop? Did it go back that far? Or was it like 12?
Photoshop goes back to what year? Anybody want to try and comment in the comments? I should know this as
That's
a
a good
Photoshop
giveaway.
nerd. That could be a giveaway.
If somebody wants to Google that real fast. Nick, where are you at, buddy?
Yeah, I can't remember. I want to say 85. I want to say 85 or 84 because I was like, wait a minute, it's been a long around since the beginning of my life. Yeah, I'm gonna grab the book real quick.
Okay, you grab the book. So I pulled that off the shelf, and I was asking him about this. I'm like, you learned Photoshop from a book? It was that long ago. There wasn't the YouTube tutorials. There wasn't the graphic design boot camp. He bought the book maybe even before there was a Barnes and Noble. Like back when Blockbuster was where you rented movies from. That's when Derrick was learning Photoshop, taking notes, geeking out. And here's the challenge when it comes to competence. The comparison game. If I get into Photoshop because I want to be a graphic designer and I am comparing the level of competency that I have compared to somebody like Derrick, who has been geeking out on this forever. Nick Foster for the win, 1990 PS1. It almost is like sounded like PlayStation 1. Thanks so much, Nick, watching over on Behance. I want to say Behance.
Sure, I'll roll with that. I really thought it was 84, 85. When you fire it up for the first time, I'd start Photoshop, but because this computer's broadcasting, we're not going to do that. But in the little credits, it tells you the year.
Okay.
And I'm curious if that is a different year. Here's that book. So this is one of the best books.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Okay, so Scott Kelby is basically the godfather of Photoshop. I don't know if he still is, but he was the editor-in-chief of the Photoshop User Magazine and the president of the National Association of Photoshop Professionals. So this book, and you can see it's all tabbed up and everything. It's basically all of the, I don't even know what page I'm turning to and I can hardly see it, but like all of the basic things that I've learned. Oh, that's such a good one. So this one, he shows you. This is exciting. Whoop! Everything's backwards too.
You're like, I know exactly this lesson. I know what projects it's like.
Yeah,
keep going.
I love. So we flipped the text and then see how the blur goes from like not very blurry to like lots of blur on the text. That little feathering effect I use all the time for shadows and all kinds of stuff. And I learned it from this book back in like, I don't know, many years ago. Such a good book. And I think, I don't even know where you're going with this, but for me, knowing the basics of like, here's an example of a movie poster, which I think I used some of these techniques in my latest Photoshop course. And I learned this like 15 years ago.
Oh, awesome.
Where's this book? Where were we talking about this? Competency?
Well,
2004. 2004. 16 years ago. 17 years ago.
Yeah. And I want to give a shout out to Nick Foster because I saw one of your movie thumbnails. It's got the firefighter in the center. I love that because I work with first responders in part of what I do. So I absolutely loved what you had there in your portfolio. Great job, Nick. When we jump in with the competence discussion, you would be hard pressed to completely ignore what other people are doing in the space. You know, a lot of you are here because you connected and saw Derrick Mitchell and his level of competency. And so the risk that you run is to compare in a place of judgment instead of compare in a place of learning a new technique. So let me jump back to my musical roots here. Jazz musicians would hear a lick from a certain person. Pink Floyd has a great transition that he took directly from Miles Davis, the pianist off of Pink Floyd, heard this chord change from Miles Davis and incorporated it into one of the songs on Dark Side of the Moon. So they borrow these different musical ideas from all these different places. And then you just saw that with Derrick. He wasn't looking at, what's his name, Kelby?
Scott
Mr.
Kelby.
Kelby.
Yeah.
Scott Kelby Not looking at that as like, oh my God, this guy is so good. There's no way my work sucks compared to Scott's. He's the national editor-in-chief of the Photoshop Association. I'm never going to be as good as him. No, you're like, oh my gosh, that's a great technique. Let me see what I can learn. That's what's going to increase your competence, not that comparison in a place of judgment. If you're going to compare for like, oh, I really like how he did the feathering thing and I don't have the feathering thing, that's a way to compare as well. I'm talking about the comparison that starts putting yourself down, shutting yourself down, diminishing your confidence. You're new, or you've been in the game for a little bit and you know that there is another level. And you know what? Maybe some people forget that. I know that in my journey at times, I will get frustrated with myself because I think I'm further along than the basics. But every time you get into Photoshop, Command N, you got to create a new document. You're not going to shortcut that, right? So in terms of like the confidence loop, you work on the skills, you get in there, you practice, you refine. Sometimes you get in there and you work without having a client. You work to recreate what you see somebody like Derrick doing, or I'm going to use you again, Nick, by putting your portfolio up there, you let me see what you're up to. So if I was a brand new graphic designer, I would say, oh my gosh, look at this amazing movie poster that Nick built for this 9/11 memorial project. I want to get in there and see what I can create. That is going to increase that confidence. And then when you do your particular flavor of that, have some pride. If everybody did the same thing, oh my gosh, it would be so boring. So you have something unique that you bring to your projects. Revel in that. Take joy in that. Take pride in that. And that's going to increase that confidence. When you increase that confidence, then you're going to be willing to get in there and do something new and different, which is going to increase your competence, which then it gives you confidence, and then it's going to confidence, and that's why it's the confidence loop.
It's good. That's good. And I think a real example of that for me was a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about that Ask Santa project, right? Where I'm pretty confident in most of my skills, but it was in an area that was beyond my current abilities. And so my confidence just tanked because my competence wasn't there. Right. And really what pulled me out, it just took a lot of time, like extra time, which was frustrating because I'm used to being the pro who's just really fast, but you get that competence from repetition. And in my case, it was just doing more time, more research, more learning, just figuring it out. And that's how I got better. And then your confidence goes back up. So that's how I pulled myself up from the bootstrap or whatever you want to call it, starting to spiral a little bit, and frustrations and feelings of not good enough and imposter syndrome and all the stuff we talked about. And the way that I pulled myself up was having a friend like Paul and somebody like my wife, Jenna, who were able to speak into my life and see when, I need that encouragement, or can see around the corner. Maybe I'm like looking at the wall and they can see the other side and say, hey, just do this, and that's always really valuable to have. So that's a good plug for our Facebook group. Many of you are watching from our Facebook group. Some of you are not. If you go to, I don't have a link for that, but,
do you have the new button?
I have buttons all over, but not that one. So if you go to facebook.com, the group is called Complete Graphic Design. So I think it's facebook.com/groups/complete graphic design. We've got about 17,000 members right now. And so it's a really great place. If you're feeling like you need to connect with somebody and talk creatively, it's a great place to do that. Most of them are pretty nice. There's a few trolls, but we kick them out as fast as we can. So,
don't have time for that.
So if you get a negative comment on your work, you just got to brush it off, right? And know that that's life, right? But we grow together. Would love to see what you're working on. So be sure to post it in there, as well as just kind of help build that encouragement as you're learning. Great place to be a part of if you're not already. So check that group out. That's my plug.
Yeah. And Nick is saying that he agrees, find a niche or technique or style, and then really define yourself.
Yeah.
And in defining yourself, that's not going to be necessarily in the middle of a Photoshop project. That's going to be perhaps with like a journal, the collection of papers, and then you're going to get like a writing utensil, and you're going to say like, I am a graphic designer who serves my clients with excellence, has systems that guide me so I don't go down rabbit holes and find out like drop shadow, inner glow, satin finish.
Oh my gosh.
It looked so good.
Yeah.
It looked so good. Yeah. Do you have your messages up, by the way?
I do. Yeah. I'm not seeing. So today I tried a little bit different on the broadcast as far as announcements and stuff. So I'm not seeing everybody who's joined.
What about like you and me messages?
Oh yes. Those you and me messages. Gotcha.
This is part of the behind the scenes magic.
So funny.
Basically, I texted him and I said, "Hey, I need to go get my water. So
dude,
take away my screen so I go get my water. I want to be discreet."
Way to be discreet. Meanwhile, I'm just like, what's the problem? Just take a big old swig. Hey, it's snowing again outside. That's cool. I don't know if I can add my camera now after whatever. It's fine.
We are here to answer questions.
Yes.
So any questions that you have, today is a great day. What are we going to call? I think Moto Monday. Motivational Monday.
I actually kind of like that. Now I need to I need to rework all of the brand for it. All of the graphics. Moto Monday. Speaking of Monday, you know what's very cool about this lifestyle? So when we first started, Jen and I were so poor, so broke. We were living with our parents, raising kids, and we lived with our parents for 5 years. Collectively, it was 2 years the first round, then we moved out, and then we had our second kid. We moved back in. I think it was 3 years. And part of that overlap, we ended up buying the house from them when we finally had money. But then while they're in transition, they still lived with us at that point. And so the reason why I say that, and luckily we were so blessed, we love our parents, both sides, and it was good. It was a really good experience. Not everybody could be able to say that. There were some times where it was like learning how to be an adult, but still under somebody else's house and being courteous about, hey, I'm going to leave, but I'll be back. You know what I mean? That was so different.
Just giving that heads up, right?
Yeah. And so when we going through this was really, it's made us who we are today, like learning that we can figure it out. And even when we're broke, not paying our bills, this I knew was what I wanted to do. And so we put everything into making this work. And so it's been very cool that now we've come full circle to where I've been very fortunate to make a very good living as a graphic designer and a web developer and freelancing and working with my wife. And together we've been able to do some really amazing things and travel and do a lot of great things, take our kids down to Disney World in Florida. And for 10th birthdays, we go pretty big for our daughters. And so my 10-year-old daughter just had a birthday last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever. I'm losing track of time, but we were able to buy her a motorcycle, which was so fun. It's what she's been wanting for years now. And so being able to have the financial ability to go buy her a motorcycle for her birthday, it was just amazing. And so the reason why I'm telling you this is to kind of paint that dream. Maybe you're not there right now. Maybe you haven't been able to figure out the money thing yet. And I'd like to probably share that. I'm not sure that I've totally figured out the money thing yet either. It's a wave. It's an up and down. If you're going to freelance, you're going to have months where you're doing awesome. You're going to have other months where you're like, crap, I'm glad I had some savings, right? And so I just encourage you to stick with it. It's worth it. It's a ton of fun. It can be very stressful at times, but it's definitely worth it. And so just sharing that story with you, hopefully to encourage you. Like you might be in a spot now where you've got nothing, especially with COVID. If you had clients, maybe they're not doing anything right now. It's going to come back, right? On the flip side, because of COVID, my wife and I have landed some very big opportunities because there's companies that are doubling down. The work is out there. So I guess another plug would be to talk about the Upwork course that we have that Jenna made, showing you how to use Upwork as a freelancer. It's a platform where you can bid on projects, and she's killing it on that platform. So if you haven't checked out that course, check out that course. You can find it at my website at derrickmitchell.com. And then it's also part of our Vault membership where you can get everything that I've ever created. And that's a great place to get a hold of that too at derrickmitchell.com/vault. So check that out. Hopefully that's encouraging. I know that there's so many different ways to create an income as an entrepreneur, as a freelancer. So that's something that Paul and I have talked about too. Like there's days where I'm a web developer. There's other days where the project is, can you make me a business card? And I'm like, yep, I can do that. Right. So you have to be a little bit flexible. And that's back to that competent confidence loop where you're finding ways to build up your confidence in all these skills. So that way you're competent enough, and vice versa, that when you land these jobs, you're able to deliver. And I'm going to bring Paul back into this conversation here. I took a minute to kind of, I don't know if you need to use the bathroom or not. I just wanted to make sure that I had.
No, I was through this 4-grit sandpaper when I just called it out. And then I learned the hard way. I didn't develop a competency from how to drink from a bottle on air. So I have to use a straw.
You miss and just all the way down. Yeah.
Right.
That's funny.
And that's the thing is like the first time I went to go drink live, I don't know if it's still up on my group's pages, but sometimes some of my students will do a screenshot back when I first
That's
live.
the best. That's the best.
And I thought that pomade was going to be a good idea. And so I had like all of the stuff in the hair, but then I have this like little thing, this little flap of hair back here that like when talking with you just like this, it's fine. But then I would like shift to the side and then like,
I miss those problems. I don't have those problems anymore.
right?
Maybe an eyebrow.
And then like,
it's like, you know.
oh my God. Or I'd have the shirt and you know, it's just like, how many buttons are,
Oh my gosh, Paul. Put your clothes back on. I can't even get
the Take Command project, right? And so you go through these transitions.
I can't unsee
right?
that. Well, we used to have people following us. They all quit. We might as well just turn the stream off now.
Feed's gone. Everybody quit. And so when you're getting started, you get to look back. I look back on some of that stuff of like, yep, that was a few too many buttons, Paul.
You know what my screenshot's going to be for the replay email?
Oh my God, you're going to get in there and like find them now and just be like, hey.
100%. 100%.
Hey crew, check this out. Look at Paul.
Oh.
I got in the game. My level of competence wasn't that high. I got in the game. I learned the things. I learned the tech. I invested in some gear. I invested in some additional training. And listen to my word there. I invested in some additional gear. Did it cost me money? Yes. Does my accountant look at it and say that's an expense? Yes. My mindset, though, says this is an investment because when I get the nicer webcam, then the video quality is enhanced, which creates a better product for my clients and students. When I go and I have a coach, I'm going to continue improving. And there's going to be certain things that I learn from that investment that I can then pass on to my clients, my students, or hang out on Moto Monday. And I think that's a thing. Hang out on Moto Monday with y'all,
like yeah.
and then share that with you. So this is an investment. And Derrick, when you said, maybe I heard it before, you have a thing that like if they get into this thing, they get access to everything that you've ever done or ever will do.
Yes.
The vault?
Yes, the vault. Yes.
I think I'm going to make a vault today for my brand.
Yeah.
That is just
So basically, the vault, it's just membership. And if you guys want to check it out, it's only $1 for the first, I think, 30 days. I'm basically giving it away. You can check everything out and then unsubscribe.
oh my gosh.
I think it's maybe, I think it's maybe like 11 or 12 bucks a month after that. But I've got all of my courses and then you'll get access. So actually what's even cooler than that is we have a private community on Slack. So only for Vault members, and there's not very many of us in there. I've kept it pretty clean. Like we've got the 17,000